What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and with the introduction of the brand new Navy batch with Sengoku, and obviously there's going to be Legend Garb coming with the Pirate Rumble Sugo Fest, we of course have a brand new batch of level limit break characters, and this is always exciting, heading into a new month, seeing what kind of buffs some of these characters are going to receive. So I'm really excited to see what they have in store today. As we see, these are the characters that are receiving it this month, which, look, heading into this month, we were expecting probably more Marineford-based characters to receive these buffs, considering the theming of the Sugo Fest, but as we can see, there's not really much of a theme going on here. Blackbeard getting a level limit break makes a little bit of sense. The rest of them, not so much. So I guess we're just going to jump into this one, see what these buffs are. Hopefully they are somewhat good, and hopefully these characters are able to see a little bit of play moving forward into the future. Look, none of these characters have super types or super classes, so, you know, their usability will be waned in some capacity, but let's go ahead and jump into the first one here, which is Blackbeard. Blackbeard, with his Super Evolution on release, essentially never saw play. I think a lot of people really hyping his buff up on release, but man, it really wasn't a very good Super Evolution, so let's hope that he gets a little bit of a good buff here. So let's see, he gets a Rumble ability upgrade, where he gets your Team Attack 7, Self Attack 4, Dex Teammates HP 3. This guy wasn't very good in Rumble, so I'm not expecting that to be the case anyway. So let's go and move on to his Captain ability upgrade. So it says, allows crew's normal attacks to ignore enemies' defensive effects, but cancels all crew's defensive effects, which is exactly the same as it was before. I believe he actually does receive an upgrade via Limit Break expansion, so the values you see here may actually change, so do keep that in mind. But your crew needs to have a fighter, a slasher, a striker, a shooter on your crew in order to get the 4.75 times attack and the 1.5 times health boost, also making the crew's dex and int slots have matching slot effects. And then when the crew launches specials with damage reduction, damage threshold, or damage nullification effects, meaning like if you launch a special that gives you one of those defensive buffs, it converts that effect into a 1.75 color affinity boost for one turn for the whole team, instead of whatever defensive buff you would have received. And we've seen Blackbeard do that a lot, actually, so this is kind of interesting, and I definitely think it makes him more usable for sure. I actually kind of like this upgrade to the character. Now, I don't know the complete buffs that he's going to receive with his Limit Break expansion, whether the attack boost goes up to 5 times, whether the color affinity boost from the passive captain effect goes up to like a 2 times would be kind of cool as well. But I think that this upgrade is nice. Do I think this character is going to see more play because of it? I mean, honestly, potentially, I think that this guy could definitely see a little bit more play. And remember that, you know, because of the fact that he has his ability at the top here that allows your crew's normal attacks to bypass defensive effects, because of that, it also negates any defensive effect that you try to launch on your side of the field. So they're kind of offsetting that where, you know, any of your defensive specials don't activate anyway. So instead of giving you that, they'll just actually give you a color affinity boost on top of it. So I think that's actually pretty good. I don't mind the captain ability upgrade at all. He's got his Rumble special, which does all enemies 40% reduction, strength and quick enemies 2500 fixed damage, defense down 5. It's fine. It's not amazing, but it's fine. But the special ability, this is also going to be kind of interesting to see what they have in store for Blackbeard's special. So it's going to reduce the crew's bind and attack down by 6 turns. I like that. That's a great upgrade. I believe previous to this, before the level limit break came out, it removed 5 turns of bind. So now they're upping it to 6, as well as removing 6 turns of attack down. That's great. He changes the crew's block slots to matching. And if the crew has normal attacks only when you launch the special, it does 1 million fixed damage to all enemies, ignoring all defensive effects, base defense, and normal attacks only. And boost the crew's attack by 2.25 for 2 turns. And then it says, reduces all enemies' HP by 30%, ignoring all defensive effects otherwise. So essentially, you got to think of it as like 2 different kinds of specials, right? Where all the time you're going to get the 6-turn bind and attack down removal, and all the time you're going to get the block slot removal. However, there are branching effects depending on if you have normal attacks only. If you do not have normal attacks only, you just get the health cut. If you do have normal attacks only, you get the 1 million fixed damage and the 2.25 attack boost. So I think it's fine. It just reminds me a lot of what the V1 Whitebeard was aiming to do with his special, where it's like a health cut, but if you already have normal attacks only, then you get like a full board of slots and an orb boost and stuff like that. So it's a perfectly fine upgrade, though the thing is, I don't know if this character is really even going to see a lot of play, maybe because of the utility effects, definitely not because of his attack boosting effect or anything like that. So I think that this is a perfectly reasonable level limit break, but I don't think it's one that I'm going to be that excited over. Now, the next one here is Cody Jones, and Cody Jones, I'm really excited to see what they do. This guy was the OG back in the day, man. This guy was what everyone was using to farm content with because he had really low CT, low special cooldown, and you could use his stage 1 special to allow you to like wave clear mob stages. So this was a very useful character back in the day. But due to Fortnite's not really being a thing anymore, unfortunately Cody kind of fell out of favor a little bit. So let's go ahead and have a peek and see what he's got cooking up here. His Rumble ability gives Powerhouse allies level 7 health and level 2 CT increase. That's actually a pretty good Rumble ability, all things considered. His Captain ability is going to reduce the special charge time by 3 turns at the start of the quest. Reduces HP at the end of the turn. Yeah, so this is a gimmick that he has where, you know, he typically gives you a really big health boost, but he offsets it by reducing your crew's health at the end of the turn. Very similar to like what Super Tandem Kid does, where he has a pretty big health boosts, and he reduces your crew's health at the end of the turn. He also actually gives cooldown, now that I'm thinking about it. So Cody's actually given me a lot of the same vibes as Super Tandem Kid. So it also will boost Powerhouse and Shooter characters' attack by 4.75 and health by 2.5. Wow, okay, so now instead of just boosting Powerhouse, he's now a Shooter captain. I actually kind of like that. I like that shooters are getting a little bit of support here. That's really cool. Okay. Alright, so you can run like a semi-speed farming shooter captain. That's pretty cool. And I guess, yeah, if you run around Powerhouse as well, he's a very, very good speed farmer for that too. That's great. I'm a big fan of that. And then his Rumble special targets enemies with high defense, or target one enemy with a high defense for 2500 fixed, and then targets Powerhouse teammates for defense up level 6, which is perfectly okay. Not amazing though, because it is only a single target hit. Then his special deals major int damage to all enemies, ignoring all defensive effects. Nothing too crazy there. Reducing Powerhouse and shooter characters' charge time by 2 turns, and I believe he has special reverse resistance, which is good. He reduces damage taken by 90% for 1 turn, and then he boosts the type effects of normal attacks, color affinity, for Powerhouse and shooter characters for 1 turn based on the number of times that you've launched the special. So on the first activation, you get a 2 times affinity boost. On the second activation and following that, it'll be a 2.25 color affinity boost. I think this is perfectly reasonable. I think this is a great special ability. I don't really have any qualms with this one. I guess it would have been nice if there was a little bit more utility involved with this character's special, because we've seen that in the past before, where characters get these level limit breaks and they help out different colors or different classes, and they give them additional utility, which make them more powerful. Unfortunately, he didn't really receive much utility in that department, but the additional cooldown at the start of the fight, the color affinity boost, and also like being a booster for Powerhouse and Shooter is really nice, because previous to this he didn't provide any, you know, damage increasing buffs. So now he can be a little bit of a cog in that wheel that allows you to do more damage with his teams, which I think is, again, like just perfectly reasonable. I think this is a great level limit break, and honestly, I can definitely see people using this because of his speed farming mechanics that are inbuilt with this level limit break. This is a good unit. The next one on the list is Eneru. Now, when this guy came out with his Super Evolution, a lot of people were using this guy for content. He had a really, really unique special and captain ability, and people were opting to use him to farm a lot of content, and I'm very intrigued to see what they do with this time around, so let's go ahead and have a look here. His Rumble stuff is bad, I'm not even going to have a look at that, but his captain ability, he cuts your crew's health by 20%. Now, when it says that, it doesn't mean like you start the quest and then you have 20% missing. What it does is it basically reduces your entire team's like base HP by 20%. So, you know, if you had like 100,000 HP, hypothetically, you would enter the stage and your max HP, instead of being 100,000, would instead be 80,000, for example, if you were to use him as a captain. And this does stack with double Eneru, so you will lose out on a lot of HP by using double Eneru. But let's go ahead and have a look at the rest. It reduces damage taken by 15%, and then it boosts the crew's attack by at least 4.5 times, up to approximately 5.25, depending on the amount of HP healed in the previous turn. So this is essentially the exact same kind of thing that we had with Eneru previously, nothing really too surprising here, but 5.25 multiplier based on the amount of HP that you healed is pretty incredible. Now, I believe previous to this, I think you had to heal 10,000 HP for you to get the max HP boost or the max attack boost out of this captain ability. So I wonder if that's changed, because that is not stated here, obviously. So you've got that, and it says boost the chances of landing recovery slots and also make them beneficial. And if a character's normal attack is effective against the enemy type, changes that character's slot to recovery, wow, at the next turn. So if you have Eneru being quick, if you attack a strength character, Eneru automatically receives a recovery slot for your next turn, which is really good with the way that this character is built. You want to get as many recovery slots as possible, and the fact that this character can generate them like that, that's really interesting. He allows you to also get overhealing with his captain effect as well. It is kind of weird. I thought that he may have had an ability in his captain effect that increased your crew's recovery. I don't know why I thought he had that. So that's a bit of a strange thing. I probably would have added that in some capacity where, you know, boost the crew's recovery by like 1.3 or something like that, so that if you get a recovery slot, you can heal more off of that. But I like the fact that he allows you to overheal, because that really offsets a lot of his 20% HP cut that he gives you with his captain ability. So that offsets that a lot, which is great. And with the way that his special is working, you have to try and get as much overheal as possible. And if you are inflicted with overheal, you know, every recovery slot you heal with the overheal is going to help you out. So I like the way that they've structured this. This is setting up for him to be actually very, very good. So let's move on to his special ability, which does 30 times the amount of HP healed beyond the crew's max HP in typeless damage to all enemies, up to 9 million damage. So I did calculate this one. It means that in order to reach the max capacity of 9 million damage, you have to heal 300,000 HP that exceeds your max HP value, which is very difficult to do in normal content. In a lot of situations, you're not using him for this end of turn, or like, not I say end of turn damage, but you're not using his special to wave clear an enemy stage, typically not. Typically at this point you would be using it for his additional abilities here. So he does the damage based on HP healed, and then he boosts shooter and striker characters' slot effects by 2.25 for one turn. So that's a nice effect. Previously he didn't provide a boosting special, it was just damage. Now they've gone ahead and giving him a 2.25 slot effect boost to striker and shooter, which I guess is fine. I don't really have any issues with that. 2.25 is a little weaker than I would have hoped, but it's fine. But he also boosts the chain multiplier by 1.1 for one turn. So I guess that kind of offsets it. You know, not the biggest orb boost ever, but they give him a very solid chain boosting effect. So you have to respect that. That's pretty good. If the crew has a slot effect boost when you launch the special, you further increase slot effect boost by 0.3. That's kind of cool too. So even if you don't like that 2.25 orb boost, you can use this special to buff another orb boost instead. If the crew has normal attacks only, when you launch the special, he reduces shipbind ability and paralysis by 5 turns. See, I like this as well, where, you know, if you have normal attacks only, you get an additional effect on top of it. But what I found with some of the characters that have abilities like this is that you think that this character has this ability, like in this example, he removes paralysis, and you think, okay, I can use NL on this stage so I can remove paralysis, but then you realize that, you know, you'd only get it if you have normal attacks only. So that can be a bit of an issue where you think you can use this special on a certain stage, but you don't get inflicted with normal attacks only on that stage yet. So that could be the only thing that I could see being an issue with Eneru. But I like the changes. Do I think he's going to see a lot of play? Probably not, just because of the way that he's kind of structured. He does have a weird and wacky play style. The damage numbers are higher, so people are definitely going to play with this guy. I do have this guy at max level limit break ready to go, so I probably will opt to build, probably a video with him at some point eventually down the line, but probably not one of the characters that I'm super excited about. The next character is Magellan, which again is another character that I don't think many people would have assumed was going to receive one at this point, but let's go ahead and break him down. So Magellan, not really too good in Rumble either, unfortunately, but the captain ability will boost the crew's attack by 4.75 with a 1.5 health boost, reducing all enemies' health by 15% at the end of the turn, and if the total damage dealt from your normal attacks during the turn is 300,000, he automatically inflicts poison to all enemies, and that poison does 200 times their attack, which is actually pretty decent. And Poison, remember, activates before the enemy attack, unlike Ignite, for example, where Ignite will activate after the enemy attacks. So this is pretty nice because the captain ability alone, so long as they can be inflicted with the poison, you can get around resilience, but he still does end of turn damage anyway with his captain effect, so I suppose that's really not that big of an issue. Just having the innate ability to get around resilience is just always nice to have. And then he further says, if you have one of every type on the crew, he reduces damage taken by 20%, and he heals 1 times his recovery for every perfect at the end of the turn. I think that's actually a really good change. I believe previous to this, you needed to have one of every color on the team in order to actually get the captain ability to activate, but now it's just, half of the captain ability is activatable from the jump, and then an additional effect is given if you have one of every type, very similar to like the brand new Legend Sengoku, for example. So it is what it is. The special ability of Magellan was renowned for being very good for Toxic Stall, so let's go ahead and have a look and see what they got in store here. Magellan's special will progressively poison all enemies, which is the Toxic effect. It starts at 70 times the character's attack and will gradually strengthen until you reach a cap of 5 million damage every turn. It also delays all enemies by 1 turn when you launch the special, and it will double damage dealt to enemies inflicted with any type of poison for 3 turns. So that's kind of cool in a way, where, his special now provides a conditional boost. Previously, you had to use, like, another special that gave you a conditional boost in order to get the most out of it, so I think that's actually kind of cool. He also heals the crew by 20 times his recovery at the end of the turn for the next 3 turns, and if enemies are already inflicted with a poison when you launch the special, double the crew's attack for 3 turns. So this actually gives me a lot of memories of the Quick Magellan legend, where you would have double special, launch the first time, you inflict the Toxic, and then you get the color affinity. If you launch it again and they already have Toxic, you get an attack boost instead. Essentially the same kind of thing going on here with slightly different effects happening, but very, very similar to V1 Magellan. And, again, very similar to V2 Magellan, should I say. Very similar to that V2 Magellan. I don't think that this guy is going to see a lot of play. Very, very odd gimmicks going on here, and a lot of the time, enemies will have just full immunity, where this type of ability that he has is not going to be that useful. But I guess if you are in a situation where you are enabled the ability to inflict these effects to the enemy, Magellan would be a valid option, depending on the team comp in your character box, of course. The final character that we'll talk about is going to be Judge, and he does have his 6-star form that also received the level limit break, so we'll probably have a brief look at him. But Judge, let's go ahead and break down him. So his Rumble ability gives fighter-driven and powerhouse characters level 8 attack, and when he's got 30% or less health, gives himself level 6 defense. Not really the biggest fan of that. His captain ability will boost the chances of landing int slots and makes them matching, as well as unfavorable slots as matching. He also reduces damage taken by 15% and a 1.25 health boost, and then boosts the crew's attack by 5.25 when you have matching slots, 4.5 times otherwise. And further states that if you have one of every color on the crew, he reduces your crew's charge time by 3 turns at the start of battle 3. That is really cool. I like that a lot. And that they've actually changed him a lot too, because again, previous to this, you needed to have one of every color on your crew in order to actually get the attack boost. But now they've just stated, like, you just need one of every color to get an additional gimmick. So I think that's a very great change. So I am very thankful for that. But by building one of every color on your team anyway, you can actually really abuse this, getting -3 cooldown when you reach battle 3, especially with double Judge, -6 cooldown when you reach battle 3. You essentially don't have to stall in a lot of cases. That's -6 cooldown, right? And then you've got -2 cooldown with sockets, potentially an additional -1 with a ship. If you're using the Germa ship, where you have one of every color on your crew, -2 cooldown again. So it's what, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 turns of cooldown when you reach battle 3, like in total, in totality. Like, that's absurd. Like, essentially you don't have to stall when you're using this guy as a captain. So I think that's actually really good. There's a lot of potential here with this guy. Having a look at the Rumble special, enemies in a medium range for 0.95. That has to be like his level 1 special or something. Yeah, that's not very good. That can't be right. That's actually terrible. Alright, let's have a look at the special. Reduces despair by 10 turns, so he has a little bit of self-utility. I like that. Reduces damage taken by 60% for 2 turns. Boosts powerhouse driven and fighter characters by 2.5. and it changes all slots including block into int, and if every type is on the crew, further increases the attack boost by 0.25 and extends the duration of the boost by 1 turn, including the attack boost launched by this special. So if you have one of every color, you get a 2.75 times attack boost for 2 turns. Oh my god. Your judge is actually beastly. Yo, I dig this. Yo, when this guy, when the level limit break comes out, I want to make a video with this guy. I have this guy with the level limit break and limit break expansion. So, actually, wait, do I have him maxed? Oh, I need to have a look at that. Hold up. Dude, Judge got me a little bit excited. Hold up. Judge. Int. Oh, no, I'm so far away. I'm so far away. I have the captain ability upgrade, but I don't have the special. Dang it, dude. Oh, that would have been so nice. Actually, what about Cody Jones? I didn't have a look at Cody Jones. Where's he at? This guy. Okay, I have Cody done because I've got a dupe sitting here, so... Alright, at least I'll have Cody done, but unfortunately just missing out on Judge, which is a bit of a shame because he looks really, really, really good. Let's have a quick look over at the side Judge and see what he gets instead. Side slots appearing and reduces damage taken by 15%. HP, boost cruise attack 5.25, 4.5 otherwise. If you have one of every color, -2 cooldown at the start of battle 3, so it's just a worse captain ability, sure. And the special, yeah, the special is actually vastly different. Reduces bind by 10, 2.25 orb boost for the crew, and changes all slots including block into Psi, and then boost the chances of landing Psi slots for 3 turns. I think this is good. This is definitely a character that you may want to like evolve and devolve depending on the situation. I think he's super solid. I like this one too. But that Int Judge has a great captain, great special. I really want to go ahead and use this guy. Unfortunately, don't have all the dupes yet, so that's a bit of a shame. But that's the breakdown of all the brand new level limit breaks. I'm actually a really big fan of Cody and Judge. I think they did a really good job with those guys. I think that Blackbeard might see a little bit of play, and I think that Eneru is interesting. I think that overall we can all agree that Magellan is probably the least exciting of the recently revealed level limit breaks. Once again, it is a bit of a shame that, you know, Luffy and Ace or no dual units have received these level limit breaks yet. Really hoping that they're able to get some at some point. It's getting to a really weird situation now where these dual units really should be receiving some buffs, and unfortunately they still haven't done it yet. So it is what it is. Speaking of level limit breaks, we should be receiving another Super Evolution throughout the month of October, so I am once again pretty excited to see what they have planned for the next Super Evolution, as that will include a brand new level limit break. But with all that being said, that is going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching, and if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.